Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Wednesday, April 22nd, the day before the NFL draft kicks off in Pittsburgh. It's been a long time coming, but we have finally arrived. One of the most exciting times of the football season is upon us, the NFL draft. And on today's call sheet show, we're going to do 10 fearless predictions for what we think will unfold beginning tomorrow night and through Saturday. I'm not a mock draft guy. I'm not going to sit here and try and predict what every team's going to do and who they may target, etc. I like reading that stuff. I think it's interesting. I'm just not. If you get about 20% right, you've done really well. It's just unbelievably hard to figure it out. It's an intellectual exercise more than anything else. It's a great way to pass the time while you're building towards the draft. But as for sitting down to spend all that time to make up a mock draft, not really my thing. But I do like to speculate on what we may see happen. And so that's what we'll do today. 10 fearless predictions for what's going to transpire over the next couple of days. Before we do that, shout out to my father, Mike Smith. Happy birthday, Dad. 83 years of age. Maybe he didn't want me to say that, but he's going strong. He's a good 83, as good as you can be with a couple of new knees and new hips. But he's still shooting his age on the golf course. I think any golfer out there listening to the show who understands the game realizes if you reach a point where you can shoot your age, you've done pretty damn well for yourself. My father does it on a fairly routine basis. So happy birthday, Pops. You wouldn't believe it if I told you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm a lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan. My dad's a Ravens fan. That's a podcast we're going to have at some point. My dad on here talking about how A, he became a Ravens fan, and B, how as a father, he allowed me to become a Steelers fan. That's the story. I mean, that's sacrilegious from a parenting standpoint. But anyway, we'll get to that down the road. Okay, to our predictions. 10 fearless predictions. Let's start with this. This is not a specific prediction, but it's something I think we're going to see happen. I think that this NFL draft will be remembered for the frenzy of trades that are going to go down. Teams trading to get up, teams trading to slide back, teams trading to target specific players, veterans perhaps potentially being moved. It was interesting listening to some of the GMs talk recently in the run-up to the draft. They talked about the impact that the first round being condensed from 10 down to 8 minutes is having. That because you wouldn't think that 2 minutes is a lot of time, but because of that a lot of these executives, these GMs and these personnel people are having conversations with one another now, as opposed to on draft night about potential trades. I think that's interesting. And I think we're going to see a flurry of trades. And I'm going to get into some of the teams who I think, may be moving up or moving back. I think that the interesting aspect of trades is, are players going to get moved? I mean, there's some big names out there who might get moved. One, if I had to make a prediction, all right, let's do it since we're making predictions. I'm going to say Brandon Ayuk gets moved. I'm going to say the 49ers trade Brandon Ayuk sometime between now and Sunday. If I had to pick a team, the Washington Commanders. Ayuk has talked about wanting to be reunited with his former college quarterback. He and Jaden Daniels were teammates at Arizona State. The 49ers have pretty much divested themselves of any money they owe Ayuk, so they can kind of trade him and not have to really take any hit. I mean, this thing's been in limbo for too long. That'll be my bold prediction for this first one here. Ayuk getting moved over the weekend. But, you could see Anthony Richardson, the quarterback in Indianapolis, who's another one who's been in limbo now since he was benched last year. He could get moved. Spencer Rattler, who's kind of the odd man out in New Orleans now, that Tyler Shuck seems to be QB1 there. He could get moved. Steelers talking about maybe moving Patrick Queen, their linebacker. Patriots in anticipation of a post-June 1st A.J. Brown deal are talking about moving wide receiver Kayshon Boutte. So, I mean, there's some interesting names that we may see on the market. But, yes, prediction number one, going to be a flurry of trades throughout the draft. Prediction number two, yeah, I just happened the other day to be looking at college football schedules, and I came across Penn State's schedule. They're opening with Marshall. It's a layup. Yeah, Marshall's a good program, but they're not going to beat Penn State in Happy Valley. You like to start with a layup. All right, so let's when we get into the specific predictions, let's start with a layup. Prediction. I'm going to blow your minds with this one. Fernando Mendoza is going to go number one overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. That's my prediction that rivals, scheduling Marshall as your home opener if you're Penn State. Fernando Mendoza will go number one overall to Las Vegas. I don't think there's any mystery there. I think it's a great fit. I think he's going to do well with Clint Kubiak. I think the Raiders are still a ways away from being a contending team. They need to surround him with better offensive skill players, but he's got some decent ones in Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting there. And the best part is with the Kirk Cousins signing, Mendoza doesn't have to start right away. He'll get to learn. He'll get to be tutored by Kirk Cousins. Good situation for Fernando Mendoza. Prediction number three. I think a lot of the intrigue now will begin with, well, first of all, pick two. Are the Jets standing pat? Are they moving out? Are they taking an edge rusher? What are the Jets doing? That'll be interesting. But I kind of feel like the Jets at 2 and the Cardinals at 3 are going to kind of toe the line that we've seen and draft in some order Arvell Reese, David Bailey. So I'm going to say one of the most intriguing questions in this draft is where will Jeremiah Love land? And I'm going to predict right now that he'll land at number 4 with the Tennessee Titans. I am like, if I were ranking these predictions 1 to 10 in terms of certainty, Mendoza would be 1. That's a certainty. This one would probably be like 9 or 10. I'm not real certain of this because I think there's a lot of teams that covet Jeremiah Love. And I think the Cardinals would like to move out of the number 3 spot. And if they could find somebody who really wanted to come up to 3 to get Love, they might make that deal. They might take him themselves. There's been talk of the Cardinals taking Jeremiah Love themselves. So I'm not real certain about this prediction, but I do think when the dust settles, Jeremiah Love will wind up in Tennessee. I don't know if I love that pick, quite honestly, because Tennessee has a lot of building still to do. And I think like adding the running back is kind of the end of the process. I don't think it's the beginning of the process. I think you build the offense in other areas, particularly on the line and at quarterback. They've got the quarterback in Cam Ward. They've got a lot of work to do on the line. They don't have great wide receivers. I just hate to see young running backs get their brains beaten in. It's a good way to ruin a young back's career. Not saying that would happen to Jeremiah Love in Tennessee, but I don't necessarily love that situation for him. All right, prediction number 4. Who will the first wide receiver off the board be? It's been a lot of conversation about, will it be Carnell Tate out of Ohio State? Will it be Jordan Tyson, who now that he's had his personal pro day workout and has looked really good, a lot of talk that he might be the first guy off the board, but I'm going to stick with Tate. I will say Carnell Tate, first wide receiver off the board, and he's going to go to the Giants at number 5. Carnell Tate will go to the Giants at number 5. The Giants have pick 5 and pick 10. They can restock their defensive cupboard with pick number 10. Maybe it'll be Reuben Bain. Maybe Caleb Downs will still be around. But I think they go for the receiver. They want to give Jackson Dart all the weapons that they can get for him. And I think at number 5, when you're going to have your pick of any receiver on the board, that's the thing. No wide receiver is going to go in the first 4 picks. So the Giants will have their pick of any wide receiver on the board. Get him a weapon. Pair Tate opposite Malik Neighbors. That's a pretty good one too, with Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy, building some good offensive weapons there for John Harbaugh and his offense. All right, prediction number 5. Kansas City Chiefs, they are picking at number 9 overall in this draft. They will draft Travis Kelce's heir at the tight end position by taking Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq, a 6'3", 240-pound physical freak with a 40-plus inch vertical jump who ran 4.39 in the 40. Guys who are 240 pounds should not be running sub 4.40s. But that's what he did. He is going to be a fabulous Swiss Army knife in Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy's offense. I think they will find tremendously creative ways to use him, and I think he'll have a year, because I'm guessing this is Travis Kelce's last year. He'll have a year to be tutored by Travis Kelce. I can't think of a better landing spot for Kenyon Sadiq and a better fit than for the Chiefs at number 9. All right, prediction number 6. We all, those of us who love the draft and who study this stuff, we all fall in love with certain players. There are certain guys who, for whatever reason, we just become enamored with. We want them for our favorite team, or we decide, hey, we're going to follow their career because we just really think that they're interesting. Brock Bowers was one of those guys for me a couple years ago, and I'm thrilled to see him doing well in Las Vegas. This year, the guy that I'm most interested in, the guy that really caught my attention, and it really happened at the Combine when I saw him work out at the Combine, is Oregon safety Dylan Thieneman. I think Dylan Thieneman is the prototypical modern safety that you need in your defense to really maximize it. He's a hybrid guy. He can play in the slot. He can play in the sky. He'll run, hit, tackle, cover. He can do a little bit of everything. I don't think he's Caleb Downs because he's not quite the athlete Caleb Downs is, but I think he's pretty close. And I will be very interested in his landing spot. Selfishly, I'd love to see him land with my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't think he's going to make it to 21 when the Steelers draft. So I will predict that Dylan Thieneman, my draft crush for 2026, will wind up with the Minnesota Vikings, who pick at number 18, who are going to need a safety to replace Harrison Smith, their longtime stalwart at safety, who is at the end of his career. And if you put Dylan Thieneman and his Swiss Army knife skill set in Brian Flores' defense, where he works up all that voodoo that he does, that could be a great match. So Dylan Thieneman, Oregon safety to the Vikings at number 18. All right, what about my Steelers? I can't do a predictions list without touching on my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of Steelers fans listening to this podcast. A lot of different directions the Steelers can go. There's no real consensus as to what Pittsburgh's going to do. I have seen 9 different players mocked to them in round 1 at pick number 21. That's the most I've ever seen. I mean, there have been years where we've just known, hey, it's going to be an offensive lineman, or it's going to be a running back. It's going to be, an edge rusher, whatever it might be. This year, we don't even know the position group. It could be a wide receiver. It could be an offensive lineman. If the board falls a certain way, it might be a safety. They love Thieneman. If he gets past the Vikings at 18, he might wind up in Pittsburgh. Could even be a corner. And hell, you have the people out there that are like, they're going to draft Ty Simpson. They're going to draft a quarterback. So it's really hard to tell who it's going to be this year. I mean, if I had my druthers, as much as I love Thieneman, the Steelers are fairly deep at safety. I would take him. If he's there at 21, I'd take him. But if I had my druthers, I'd really like them to land Venga Ione, the phenomenal guard out of Penn State, best guard in this draft. I just don't think he's making it to 21. He's got to get past Baltimore at 14. He's got to get past Detroit at 17. I don't think he's making it that far. I think he's gone. I think the 3 big receivers are gone, Tate, Lemon, and Tyson. I think most of the, a couple of the obvious stud linemen, including Ione, are gone. But I think Pittsburgh really likes Omar Cooper. From everything I've read, man, they really like him. They think he's going to be a great fit in the slot. They love what he can do after the catch. Mike McCarthy's going to run a West Coast system. If you can run after the catch with the football on the West Coast, that's a big deal. And so I feel like if Pittsburgh stays put at 21, the board might not fall exactly the way they want it, but they'll be happy to grab Omar Cooper at 21. All right. Prediction number 8. I said I would talk a little bit about some trades. Here's a trade I think we're going to see. And I'm going to get really specific with this prediction. And if I hit on this, I don't know, I might run right over to Atlantic City and just start playing some numbers. Because it's such a specific prediction, the odds of it happening are very thin. But what the hell? Let's go for it. Philadelphia Eagles picking 23rd in the first round. I predict they will trade with the Jets, whose second first-round pick comes at number 16. And why will they trade with the Jets? Because they recognize that there's going to be a lot of offensive linemen coming off the board, and the Eagles badly need to draft a replacement for Lane Johnson, right? Who has been there forever, who is their all-world offensive lineman. He is approaching 38 years of age. This is probably going to be Lane Johnson's last year. A lot of turnover going on that offensive line, potentially in Philadelphia. The Eagles have spent 9 out of their last 10 premium picks, that's first and second rounders, on defensive players. They need to invest some capital on the offensive side of the ball. A.J. Brown may be getting moved. That's probably going to happen as a post-June 1 trade. That's a group in flux. They got to start to rebuild the offensive unit in Philadelphia. So I'm going to say the Eagles at 23 trade up to 16 with the Jets in order to acquire a premium offensive tackle. And why is 16 important? Because the Lions at 17 are very offensive line needy. So if the Eagles want one of those high-ranked offensive tackles like Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, like Caden Proctor, who's a massive human being at 6'7", 365 pounds. I stood next to him at the combine. I mean, it looked like a father with his son. If they want to get one of those guys, I think they have to get in front of Detroit. And so they'll make that trade. And then the Jets will go back to 23. And who will the Jets draft at number 23? This is fearless prediction number 9. I'm going to say, fearless prediction number 9, the New York Jets will take quarterback Ty Simpson out of Alabama. I don't think Ty Simpson gets out of the first round. Or yes, that's how I meant to say it, right? I think he's drafted in the first round. A lot of people say there's only one first-round quarterback in this draft, Mendoza. A lot of people say Simpson, he only made 14 starts in college. Not enough. He needs more seasoning. He needs to sit for a little bit. Well, if he comes to New York, he'll get the opportunity to do that. They have Geno Smith. He's going to be their starting quarterback. Ty Simpson will not have to play right away. He'll have the chance to sit for a little bit. Now, we all know New York has been a quarterback graveyard. Historically speaking, that has been a terrible place to land if you're a quarterback. The success rate as a New York Jets quarterback is incredibly low. Maybe they'll hit a home run with Ty Simpson. But I think the Jets, if they can trade back, get some additional picks in this draft or even a year down the road, and then take Simpson. I don't know if they'll be comfortable taking him at 16, but if you slide back and you throw in some extra compensation, that's where he goes. Ty Simpson to the Jets at 23 after they trade with Philly. All right, final prediction, number 10. The Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks, trading or drafting last in the first round at number 32. They only have 4 picks in this draft. They only have 4 picks, and GM John Schneider has said he would love to trade back. He'd love to trade back and make some moves to acquire more picks, etc. Here's my bold prediction. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are hosting this draft, it is in Pittsburgh. The numbers are going to be astronomical. They're talking about 700,000 or so people cramming themselves into the confluence, into the Three Rivers area. I think the Steelers make a big splash and they trade back up into the first round at 32, and the home crowd goes nuts. It's a great made-for-TV moment. They get back in the first round because I think the first round is going to be really heavy on linemen. I think there's going to be a big run on offensive linemen. And we've heard that the Steelers love Chase Besantis, the guard out of Texas A&M, who's projected to go somewhere early in the second round. He's not really seen by many. I've seen a couple mocks where he slips into the back end of the first round, but he's generally going in most mock drafts somewhere early in the second, in the 30s. Well, Pittsburgh doesn't pick till 53rd in round 2, so they jump up to the end of round 1 and they take Besantis. They trade Seattle their pick at 53. That's their second round pick, and their first pick in the third round at 76. I looked at the draft value chart. Seattle's pick at 32 is worth 590 points. Pittsburgh's picks at 53 and 76 are worth 580 points. Works out almost exact. Steelers make a big splash in front of the home crowd with that trade. So there you have it. 10 fearless predictions for what's going to go down predominantly tomorrow night, but in general, throughout the next couple of days in the NFL draft. It's going to be awesome. I'm a draft nerd. I love it. All right. I'm going to be back on Friday with a solo show, a shorter show on Friday where I just do some reaction to the first round, but I got a big roundtable in the works for Monday. All right. Monday, I'm going to have couple of different guests on, and we're gonna hit the whole thing. All right, we're gonna go, soup to nuts on the NFL draft. So tune in on Friday for some quick first round reactions, and then on Monday for a roundtable discussion about the whole shebang bang. It's going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up, everybody. Hope Santa brings you something great in the NFL draft, and I'll talk to you all on Friday. Take care.